Yeah, g'day everyone on YouTube. I hope everyone's going good out there. And remember, in this time, everything's about the vibrational frequency and the resonance of your spirit connected to your body. Remember to build your bubble around you and protect yourself, knowing that you can. And that spirit is a lot stronger than anything that's going on right now and what you see. Remember, what you believe is what you create. So do not fall victim to the fear propaganda that's only there to weaken you down for starters. So, apart from that, this is the last chapter of the book that I wrote. A Story of Protection and Enslavement. This was way before the Mandela Effect, and I wrote this book over time, basically on my phone here and there. When I actually had some time, I'd sit there and I'd write a few pages, etc., etc. So, this is the last chapter I got up to of it, and after that, life changed and a lot of things happened. Then the miracles and the downloads and everything that led to the understanding of what we are and where we're from, and seeing the outside of this matrix reality. And then the one consciousness was brought, which was from the source itself. So, but all of these things that I was doing before were training in the direction of what I was going to need in order to create that manual for society to get the full understanding of what everything really is. And right now, you can see that vibrational resonance and the frequencies of the consciousness and the energy is how everything is being used against us in the understanding of what we can't see, when we know already that you can use your spiritual body, balance your spiritual body to your kundalini and all your chakras, and make sure that your own biosphere that's connected to you, that is absolutely clean of anything that you allow in, including any frequency or vibration that is harmful to you as well. So remember, with all of this that's going on, your spirit body is actually the protector that can protect you more than anything that you could ever imagine, and it is there for that reason. You just have to use it. So peace, love and respect everyone. Anyway, before I read this, and here we go. So chapter 4. If you remember the rehash, the last chapter, just go listen to the last chapters. It's just easier that way. So, oh Phil, where are you? I started my search by pulling out and following the path that the car took, that Phil went in. I drove for 20 minutes and came to a fork junction, and a sign below said Clover Green Grove. The other said Grandmaster Lodge. Sorry, itchy nose. And I just lost the bloody thing off the screen when I scratched my nose. All right. And the other sign said Grandmaster Lodge of the Freemasons. I didn't know what way to go. I turned towards the grove and made my way up the spiralling roads with the forest all around, entering towards me in the distance. I could see an arch. It held the insignia of the old Egyptian hieroglyph-styled owl skull surrounding the entrance of the arch. What was this place? As I drove in through the arches, I passed a giant sign, Clover Green, only for the Bohemian property, and only for Bohemians. Property is under surveillance. I choose to ignore it. I really wanted to find Phil. I pulled about 10 car lengths more up the road when a set of headlights behind me showed in my rear view mirror. I could see it flickering to get my attention. It was a small black and white security 4-wheel drive. It gained closer and closer to the rear of the Bentley. It swerved to the side and accelerated up along it swerved to the side and accelerated up along the side of me. The driver was tooting the horn. Pull over, passenger. Pull over. The passenger was yelling and shining a torchlight at my car. I had no intention to stop, especially in this place, that I had no idea of where I was. I grabbed the steering wheel and clamped down tightly and pulled it hard right, slamming into the Bentley against the front, into the 4-wheel drive's top of the front wheel arch. Both vehicles lost traction for a few seconds, and then I regained focus. The other driver pulled to the back, drafting behind me, still yelling and tooting the horn abruptly. A loud crack come from the back window. Another large crack after that one. I watched the 4-wheel drive's passengers' muzzles flash. I quickly slammed down my brakes at the same time, opening the door handle. The 4 wheels slammed into the back of the Bentley. With shattered impact, I jolted forwards as the force pushed my car forwards. I reached back and I grabbed the body armor from the floor behind the seat. Must have fallen during the car's forced transitions. I lifted the door handle and brought my other arm to the front of me, lifting up the body armor as a shield. In front of me and opening the door, harshly jumping out, I retrieved my pistol with the other hand and rushed the two perpetrators down, still disorientated from the crash. One was bleeding in the front end of the four wheel was crushed. From the front end of the four wheel was crushed, the front folded back like the wheel axis had snapped upwards. I rushed towards and opened the driver's door. I quickly, without hesitation, took aim, remembering my lessons growing up, locked the target down. I raised my pistol and squeezed twice in quick succession, moving the iron sights to line the visual crosshair with the top of each guard's skull. The bullets both penetrated with precision accuracy, exploding out the back of their skull. Blood and skull fragments covered the back seat and partial back window. The clothes had the insignia of the Bohemian Guard Patrol, small letters underneath, the Cult of the Grove Sector, and the number 666 with the goat's head showed on their sleeves. I could see a small bag at the feet of the passenger. It was covered with blood that had dripped down from the entry wound and onto the ground. I searched his pockets. Just a security ID and a small pendant with an ink-coiled snake and a gold-plated chain. Not much here. I jumped up into the driver's seat and began to search the passenger's corpse. I could see the firearm that was used to shoot at me. It was the normal old-school police-issued Glock. I retrieved it and placed it onto the dash for now. In the inner pocket, I found a piece of paper that had a code written on it that said Inner Owl. His right side pants pocket had a wallet. Inside was pictures of the man with other men and women dressed in party gear. The men tank tops with a pyramid and eye inside. The words around it said Alpha, Kappa, Omega. The woman looked in their early 20s and wore tight, revealing spandex. Shorts and bikinis just covered past the areolas, not leaving much to imagine at all. The guy was a frat member. This must have been his fraternity. I searched through the wallet more and found about $1,350.25 in currency and a small triangle-shaped object. It looked very strange. Snakes intertwined with each other, tails creating a small circle at each of the three triangle points. It reflected of gold. I picked up the gun off the dash and put the money in my pocket, with the note and the snake triangle I just found. I walked around the other side of the car and pulled the other corpse out from the passenger seat, throwing him onto the ground. I reached up under to bend in the chassis below the glove compartment and pulled the black Velcro bag out. I opened and looked inside. It was two sets of satin blood-coloured robes with head hoods included, the same symbol as the entrance sign was, displayed on the right breast. These looked a lot like the Ku Klux Klan robes I had seen on documentaries in the past. I closed the bag up and walked back to the Bentley. It was in bad shape. The tail lights and the back-end chassis was dented inwards bad. The trunk was folded up and tucked behind the back window's orifice. The windows seemed straight, though. I opened the car door and jumped inside, placed the items I'd found onto the passenger seat, put the key into the ignition and started her up. She started. Still, gas was low and a few failure lights blinked on the dash's HUD, but she started. I pushed the pedal and moved slowly forwards. The exhaust made a loud echoing drone. The large echoing drone. In the trees of the hairpin I had just come around. It got brighter. I moved back further into the bush and leadered down, crouching behind a thick-trunked tree, watching as the lights approached. I'd left the items on the seat in the Bentley. The lights focused in on the headlight. The car revealed itself, a metallic black Land Rover like the ones that wrecked the Bentley. The right side of the door opened and an IFMA officer put his feet to the ground. He reached his arm out and shined a flashlight into the windows of the car wreckage. The other got out and walked towards the back of the car. We found the authorised vehicle, sir. It could be the suspect. Signs show of an impact, possibly a car chase. Only one vehicle on the scene, though. Boss looks like we have. It looks like boss looks like he may have escaped or have been picked up by someone else. The radio replies with a lot of static, but through silence in the eerie shrubland, I could make out it saying, "Any sign of hostile number 5? No, none of that I can see. The guard inside the car called. The other one over. I found something. He lifted up the bag of clothes. Glock firearm the items. They both walked back to the Land Rover's bonnet and laid each item out. Just the fraternity occult ritual robes. We have something, he pressed his radio again. We found the owl key inside the suspect's car. 2 Grove members' regalia and 1 ritual chain. Looks to be of a 23rd degree initiate. Roger that, number 5. I'll run a recent security scan and find out if all club members are accountable. As the radio transmission ended, the guards started to chat amongst themselves. One started to walk off. I'm taking a piss. Watch out for eagles, Fred said. They eat small worms, and laughed. They then reached into the car window and retrieved a pack of cigarettes and lit himself a cigarette. What's this? The other officer started to yell again, real loud. Over here, quick, quick. Look, there's blood. Fuck, they'd spotted the guard's blood, the stains on the road. I had to do something before this became a manhunt for me. I reached inside and lifted out my pistol from my jacket again. I had to kill them. I had no other choice. It was being found or keep matters quiet. I really had no intentions of just advertising myself to the IFMA. I creeped towards the men laying down in the dirt and prone crawling towards, and then making sure not to reveal myself to them. I was about half a yard away when they were both back at the blood. One started to trail off. Looks like the tire tracks go through here a bit of the blood. They go this way. He moved off to the side of the road. I had pushed the guard's 4-wheel down. I locked my target tightly on one, still near the blood, and fired. His body flew back and onto the road. I didn't know if he was dead, but I didn't have time to hang around and find out. Gunshots started flying through the air around me. I was prone, one hit, and slammed into the dirt about 1.5 feet from me. I lifted myself up and lifted my arm, scanning for the other officer. I ran to take cover in front of the officer's Land Rover. I scanned again for the flash. He was hiding down behind the trees. The bullets hit the side of the Rover, vibrating as they collided with powerful force into the car's structural material. I lifted my hand just high enough to return fire over the bonnet. The officer's flash moved. He's running. The shots got closer as he rushed forwards, advancing on me. I thought quickly and laid down flat and watched under the car as he ran out onto the road, still firing. I looked to the left of me. The other IFMA officer's body lay dead. I knew right then if I was to remain inconspicuous, I would have to either not use it or because I would have to either not use it or repair it. I remembered I had left 2 guards' bodies on the road behind. I kept thinking how bad this could have turned out if it wasn't for the loneliness of the twisting roads hidden by the trees. I walked back over to the bodies and started dragging them one by one into the nearby shrubbage. I knew the 4-wheel drive took most of the impact, being the front of the collision. No way I was using it. So I grabbed between the side mirror and the door frame and reached and then pulled the handbrake down and pulled the stick into neutral, grabbing tightly and flexing. I pulled the car using the steering wheel to guide it back into the shrubs bushland. To the 4 wheels crossed into the dirt land. The car hit a slope and rolled back away from me. I turned back to the road. The other brightness of the other car's headlights could be seen through the lamp on the floors. The other car's headlights could be seen through the I'm not sure that says, through the lamp on the other floor's bullseye. Another accurate headshot. Turn back to the road. The headlights, you could see see through. It was limp on the floor. Headlights could be seen. It was limp on the floor. Bullseye. Another accurate headshot. The blood trail tickled away from his body. I pulled my gun up and took aim, focused on the running officer's legs. I took my shot. His kneecap exploded. He lost grip, tossed his gun into the air while taking the bullet's velocity. I moved quickly around the Rover and kept my crosshair focused. Why are you looking for me? What do you want? The officer replied. They know you talked to Carlton. They know who you are. Now, know what? I yelled in rage. Tell me, the officer. The officer held his leg and was losing blood fast. He held his kneecap, and his kneecap had been exploded away from his bone joints. He looked up and gained a serious face. You don't know who you are messing with. They see everything. You can't escape. Who am I messing with? Tell me. I want a name. The Illuminated Ones. They run the Grove. You have got to be stupid or really brave to come here. Judging by the look of the mess you got yourself into, I'ma say stupid. I clenched my fist and smashed the officer in the face hard. I did it again and again until his face looked like a bloody mess. Small bubbles of air in the blood covered his mouth, leaked out. I stood up and I went back to the Land Rover. The items that were all accountable for. I collected them back up, moved to the officer's body to the shrubs, and jumped into the Rover. Half a tank, nice. I started her up and reversed and placed myself facing in the side of the Bentley. I started her up and reversed and placed myself facing the side of the Bentley's wreckage. I slammed down the accelerator and rammed into the other side of the Bentley's chassis, pushing the doors and the framing, moving the car over into the side of the road. I positioned the angle so I could tip the car over as it hit the same off-road area that the 4-wheel drive had rolled down before. The metallic scrap lifted up in the air, sparks flying from the damaged muffler, and the exhaust flew up as it screeched along the road, then tipped and rolled down the slope. Knowing I'd covered my tracks, now I recovered the Rover and turned the face to the direction I was initially going to and proceeded down the airy shrub and forestry covered road. About half a mile I could see buildings up on the right. It was a still night, but you could still see the dawn ascending in the sky's horizon. I pulled up 2 yards down from where the building's entrance could be located. A giant stone statues of an owl sat at the left and the right base of these doors. The sign official members only hung over the metal pole with an arrow pointing to go back. I knew it wouldn't be long before IFMA or the Grove Security would be doing their next set of rounds. That's if it wasn't, or they already on the way. I drove the IFMA van to the side of the road. I drove the IFMA van to the side of the road and into the forest. I got out and I covered the vehicle with the trees and the branches. I collected the items but decided I should leave the armour. I needed a way to get inside the manor-looking building. I made my way across the road, watching back to the flanks moving up on the side of the building. I slowly strafed around, making sure to watch my surroundings. I moved around to the left side and noticed a wooden door in the ground. I'd found a cellar. I retrieved my pistol and proceeded to smash I found a wooden door. I found a cellar. I retrieved my pistol and began to smash the butt of the gun against the padlock till it gave way. I lifted the squeaky old heavily doors, grabbing the handles and swinging both sides open. Looking down, I could see the stairs of a red painted symbol that looked to be like a cobra was inscribed into the brickworks. Either side of the stairs descending entrance. Putting one foot in front of the other, I counted 33 steps to the lower floor. It looked like a sheik's palace. Red velvet curtains hanging down either side of a solid gold altar. The words war in capitals had been crafted into the bricks. A half-sun symbol on top with a lightning bolt. It looked a lot like the SS from the Nazis' SS-styled format. Photos of presidents and famous actors and actresses and musicians in a neat sequence along the wall. In the centre of a golden pentagram with a running fixed glass lit candle. It looked like these could be the Satanists I've been warned about. Folders along the side with different titles I could read: Ancient Bloodlines, Our World Command, The Blackmail and the Stage and Fake Terror Attacks. I opened up the Stage and Fake Terror Attacks. The book looked important that it had been professionally printed. I opened the book, confidential for Grove members only. It had a signature signed by the Committee of 300 and was approved by the United Nations chapter. One was called The Problem, then Reaction, then Solution. It then dropped the hypothetical scenario below. To create a subduable mass, you must control their reality. If an individual had proposals for government or military agendas the mass would find unnecessary, the agent must find a way to change the mass's way of thinking. Our example would be the United States Constitution. He has many things we do not agree with. It has to go, finally, and the only way to make it become powerless is to create a scenario where it becomes obsolete. We of the New World Command have done this for decades. Vietnam, World War I and World War II, and the future war that will unite us all into a global dictatorship government run by the inner circle are all necessary. First, you must have your agenda. Be it take the liberties away, destroy the Constitution, secretly record everyone's biometric data for use in a great supercomputer. Second, you must emphasize the problem. If you want more of a surveillance or to drill or military-run militia martial law take over without the masses getting word of the plan, you must then sell it to the masses as a real problem. The media helps us do this with a few men dressed in black masks in a studio with a green screen performing a fake beheading, or a few strategically placed bombs can help us, even the most manipulated towards being the planned agenda. Then wait for the masses to feel the fear. Sell it to them that they are not safe. Then after the wanted reaction has been created by manipulating the masses, it's time to sell the original change of laws and lifestyle security. The problem, the reaction, I stopped reading. I could hear talking coming from the cellar's entrance. The door's been broken. Look, someone smashed the padlock. I'll call for security. No, that's not. It's probably the kids. We can kidnap them and use them for sacrifice in the ritual. The masters will reward us. Footsteps creep down towards me, squeaking as each step moved onto the descending stairs. Descending stairs. I looked for a place to hide. I couldn't see anywhere. I pushed up against the wall behind them as they moved from the stairs into the room. Moving into a nice shadow, I crouched and I watched the men. They were wearing the same regalia as the robes I'd found in the bag. One had his hood on and the other barefaced with a tattoo of the same markers on the wall. The left side of his skull just below the hairline. They walked into the center of the room. Okay, kids, we know you're here. Come out and we won't press charges. The voices got more and more impatient and louder. I counted three. Now another man had just come down the stairs. What are all you looking for? What are you two doing? Nothing, Blake. We seen the door busted, figured kids had broken in. Well, what are you waiting for? Start searching. I'll take the left, admin, and you take the right, Curtis. You stand guard at the door. They can't be far, and there's only one way out of here. Before I knew it, they had started to come towards my hiding place, my shadow. I drew my gun up and I lifted it out from the shadow. The men all looked towards me. Fuck, it's not kids. He's got a gun. Loud, thunderous footsteps echoed as they scrabbled up the stairs. Stairs fast as hell. Slam. Hey, get something to lock this. Use this. I could hear the men sliding something to wedge the shutter doors of the cellar shut. It was dark and I couldn't see much. I sat there in the darkness. I could see the sun's rays piercing through the cracks around the cellar's entrance door. I moved around. I really couldn't see much. I reached down and pulled out my pistol and angled it against the sun ray to cast a reflection of light to the nearby wall that contained the photos on. Click! I moved a switch on the wall. After examining it first, the few photo frames, the pentagram candles become aflamed. The 5 points lit up a trail, and then the fire engulfed the gold outline. The room was flickering orange and yellow, and the glass-fueled flames danced around in front of my gaze. The altar creaked and then slowly moving shelf raised up from the interior, sheathing a gold sacrificial dagger with a cobra inscribed, insignia fixed into the handle's craftsmanship. Dare I take it? No, I wasn't going to. It had a very nerving and unsettling presence about it, like it had been used to devour many, many souls in its life. The flames of the pentagram reflected in the dagger's vibrant finish. The few letters of war are lit and oozed fire out from it. Strange, the entire cellar looked to be used for a cult, so much that the elite had went through such trouble to fit gas lines through to the pentagram war letters and outline the pentagram. I was pretty sure the lifting shelf was operated using the gases compression somewhere in the buildings. Mapping, the door seemed quiet. The noise of the men talking had vanished. I looked at the cracks around the frame. Could I use this dagger? I could see a long object crossing the center crack. That was the descending vertical. That must be what they used to barricade the door with. Watching for a few hours, I must have passed. The voices returned here. Put it through here. The group on the other side of the door then started to push small hose-like through the sunlight crack. It's in. Cover the rest of the door with those towels. Hold this motherfucker. Thinks he's smart with that gun. Let's see how he does against grade A pharmaceutical knockout gas. Ha ha ha. The sun rays dispersed from around the door, and my head started to feel wheezy. My vision felt like it was slowing down, and my head got heavy. I had to lay down. I watched the dancing pentagram candles flicker as my eyelids started to close, and the pistol fell from my hand to the floor. My knees gave way, and I fell to them. I imagined I managed to gain the strength to fight the gas before falling unconscious. Before I went black, all I can recollect is the sun rays reappearing around the door and loud noises as they removed the items that I had at the door barricaded. The doors opened, the sun shined brightly into my face. A group of robed men rushed down the stairs, then everything went completely black as my body collapsed to the floor and my eyes shut. My mercy was now in the hands of these strange Grove members. My eyes reopened. I looked around at my surroundings. Men gathered in hundreds stood in front of me. They all wore the same regalia. My hands had been binded behind my back. To the left and to the right of me, 2 other middle-aged men attached to a wooden crucifix. Inverted crucifix. It's hard to remember all the events from the time everything rushed by so fast. The robed audience chanted loud with some incoherent nonsense that had no meaning in it to me. Oh, great one, great fly, great watcher. We fly due east when the signs is right. Fly due west when the world is right. In our times of cremation is the key. We must through the wishes and the winter's nights endure, but through his great wisdom the children of the ancient the cares are dissolved. Midsummer sets us free. A bright red light took over my colours. As the haze got brighter, I turned my head to the right and had seen a giant stone statue of an owl. Its eyes split blood red. A voice echoed from the oversized stone statue. It was like being broadcasted through by a microphone. Fools, fools, fools! You think that you can burn me? The men chanted louder. Oh yes, mighty spirit, we can and we shall. A man advanced from the crowd. His robes were different, black satin with a golden embroidery and the cobra insignia. He held a fire-in torch in his left hand, and the right was a dagger from the altar I had seen earlier. He walked to the man to the left and he said, "Hey buddy, my name's Eric. Eric Stradman, my wife, his mumbling to me ceased, and the black-robed man opened the back hilt of the dagger and began to dose the man with what smelled as petrol. Ah, the man screamed as the fire engulfed his body. The smell was rancid. It made my stomach tie in knots. My anxiety level was going through the roof. You have to be cleansed by the master. Serve him well. I see you when cleansed by the master. Serve him well when you see him. The owl statue started again. Fool, you think one is enough? Fool, you should have your ceremony. I shall partake, but you shall offer more. The crowd of the robed men then chanted louder, "Hear, hear, hear," cheering and praising the death of the burning, screaming man beside me. His body burnt to a crisp ashes, and from his corpse drifted in the air. The black-robed Grove member walked from the left past me, then to the right, turned around to the audience and said, "One shall be of fire, the next shall be of blood." Kaboom! A big fiery explosion in the distance lifted into the sky. Grove, someone has just detonated some form of explosion in the distance. The group stopped the ceremony and began to turn and run towards the Grove Manor. Apart from the black satin-covered man, he stood by the side of me, yelling and chanting still. "In the blood of our sacrifice is worthy in the direction we push." Then he lifted up the dagger and removed it from the sheath. He lifted up high above his head and started to swing. The wisp of a noise vibrated past my ears, and the black-robed man stopped in his tracks, dropping the sacrificial dagger to the ground. His chest started to bleed through the robe. Another 2 quick wisps past my ear. The man's chest jolted back and another hole oozed blood dripping down from another wound in his head. His body collapsed down in front of me. I looked to the side where the wisps were coming from. The man on the crucifix next to me was gargling blood. The robed man had managed to slice a open, clear wound run down. Had managed to slice a clear, open wound. Blood run down his body, dripping down to the floor. Marcus! 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 I could see a figure appear from behind the man's dripping, hanging body. About a 5'2" woman emerged, perfect shape, childbearing hips with an hourglass figure, big perfect shaped breasts. Her hair was long and black. Silkness glistened as she moved in closer. She was of ethnic origin. I could see she looked Mexican or perhaps Latino. She moved right in and to the man's blood-dripping body that was still tied with his hands around the center beam of the crucifix. No, Marcus, I'm so sorry. She had water building in her eyes. She rushed towards me. I'll save you. I failed to save Marcus. I'll save you. I felt my hands being freed. My name's Maria. Come quickly. We must go. As my hands became released, my legs gave and I fell to the ground. I looked up at the stone statue's eyes glowed eerily with the blood-red haze. Maria grabbed me by the arm, lifting me up. We moved closer to the statue to take cover from the incoming IFMA entourage. We watched as the headlights pushed towards us, advancing from the darkness's horizon. Maria leaned back and tapped me. Be my spotter. What do you mean? Locate targets for me. Tell me with what o'clock and how close. Okay, I've got it. The trees violently swayed as the Black Horse swamped into the night skies. I focused 2 and 4 at 2 o'clock, 50 metres. A quick succession of wisps and the IFMA agents laid dead. 1 at 3, I yelled, 20 metres, running as a K9. She moved, refocused and squeezed down her trigger again. Wisp. The running officer's body impacted backwards and dropped to the floor. Blood trickled from his neck between his face and his shield. The bulletproof vest. The K9, which was on closer inspection, was a German Shepherd, had started to lick the wound and then eaten to the man's throat. More helicopters moved in the numbers seen where in the 40s. I knew that this was it. It was going to end here. Maria had started to move more along the backside of the giant stone owl. I started to move back, sliding my hand along the rocky surface. As I slid backwards following Maria's, my hand crossed a strange indent in the side of the statue. The officers could be seen walking in formation, a form of semi-circle around me and Maria. I followed the strange indent with my hand. It was a large square, and to the side of it was the engraving of the triangle. The triangle! I could use the golden triangle I'd found earlier, which would fit with most precision compression. I reached for it and slid it into the indent. A click and a thunderous noise erupted from the stone owl. The side of the owl slid away and revealed a ladder descending downwards to what looked to be really deep. Maria, look. Oh, Maria, look. That's great. That's exactly what we need to go. Go, go, go. Maria pushed me towards the ladder. I grabbed the railing and began to move as quick as I could down the ladder. I looked up and I could see Maria's bum. It was nice. Wow, she was fit, that's for sure. The lights from the oncoming IFMA invasion danced around. We climbed down deep. Maria was firing upwards, taking pot shots, making sure that no one would try to follow. The rumbling started again, and the owl side slid back up into its position. Arriving at the bottom tunnels, decorated in such strange beams, littered the wall. They're the Chitahori, Maria said out loud. Which way? Oh, hold up, sorry. Rumbling again, the owl slid back down. Arriving at the bottom, the tunnels are decorated in strange beings, littered the wall. They're the Chitahori, Maria said out loud. Which way? The tunnels descend to the right and to the left. One, you notice, had a small door at the end. The other had faded into the darkness, looking away long into the distance. The statue rumbled again. I looked up to see what was going on. The IFMA agents had started to enter and climb down the ladder. Maria looked up and raised a weapon. Wisp, a silencer smoked at the end. I watched as the first officer started falling. Run! Maria grabbed my arm again and pulled. Go this way, go this way. I have an idea. We both run into the dark descending passage. I pushed Maria up against the wall. It must have been all those commando movies I watched, but as a kid, I felt an animal rage instinct pushed through my subconscious and engulfed my mind. I grabbed the gun off Maria and hit the tunnel's ground, prone to the shadows covered us well. I locked aim towards the entrance that we had just come through. I thought I had to hit the deer in the neck, but this time it was the heart or the head shot that I wanted. I could see the fallen agent crippled and bleeding on the ground where he fell from the ladder. The lights flashed and began to engulf the darkness as they illuminate the darkness, it should be, I guess. The flashlights began to illuminate the darkness as they appeared from the ladder. I kept steady. They didn't know we were here hiding, so I watched. Maria had fed herself into a narrow rock formation in the side of the wall. It looked like maybe a pillar once stood there, but now it was Maria's safe haven. I watched as the light began to turn towards us. The agent stood in a group over the shot and fallen comrade. The one to the right had lifted his torch up towards us. The one to the left had begun to do the same. I watched as the man to the right torch lifted and illuminated the other's heads. Wisp. I took one shot and missed. Fuck. I fired again in quick succession. The man to the right took the bullet straight through his throat and was convulsing on the ground. The loud assault rifle fire echoed through the passage as the IFMA agents that remained opened up. Come out now. We won't hurt you. We won't hurt you, I could hear one yelling in the background. Between the discharges and my brain rushed with thoughts. Are you kidding me? This is how life is? This is how now my intended destiny of a few days before these attacks, the world was so everyday ritualistic. Now it seems upside down, like I'm inside of a George Orwellian nightmare novel. I focused back to the IFMA agents advancing. I could see in Maria's face that she was becoming anxious. I took aim, watching the dancing torchlights in front of me. Bullets echoed as the agents kept firing small bursts from their rifles. I squeezed right through the leg and into the other. I squeezed again, another kill. The agents were down. One trickled blood from the right of his face. The other two lay wounded on the ground. Let's go. Let's go. I moved up to the IFMA agents. Help us, please, they begged. The rifles that they had I could see about a metre away from them. Maria had made her sexy self present to the IFMA agents also. They looked at her. You, I should have known it was you. Bang, bang. Maria had taken the small pistol from her boot and shot both the agents in the middle of the head. What the fuck? Shh. Just help me search them. What the fuck is going on? I kept repeating in my head. We turned to the blood-dripping bodies and to their sides and started to search the pockets. Some Mentos and a handkerchief with some number on it. And wow, okay, this was a good collection of assorted keys on a circular metal ring. Maria had started to search the other corpse. I looked and I winked. Looks like we got something, extending my eyebrows suggestively. Very good, very good. We may just get out of here. She lifted up and said, okay, mine's clear. Let's take the rifles and see how many clips that we can scavenge. I got a feeling that we were going to need it to get out of this goddamn place. Okay, good idea. We scattered around searching the bodies and the hallway. 4 clips, not bad. plus the ammo remaining in the agent's rifles, we had enough. Okay, let's do this. The door here at the end is the key. The keys. The door here at the end is the key. Keys, hold up, let's go. We advanced on the slightly illuminated door at the end of the tunnel, aiming at the door. Okay, Maria, cover me. I moved towards the door, getting closer. I noticed a keyhole right in the center of the door. Strange, I inserted the key one by one. The keys had numbers engraved on them. 13, 2, 5, 6, 77, 3, and 33. I inserted them all until I got to number 33, and then I inserted it. It clicked, but nothing happens. The bricks to the side began to vibrate and move back, revealing a metal biometric hand reader. The computer then spoke in an electronic voice. Please place your hand into the scanner before proceeding past this point. Okay, I turned around and Maria was bent over, pulling one of the agent's bodies up towards the door. I went over and grabbed the other arm of the body and pulled, trailing the corpse to the hand scanner. Okay, here goes nothing. We removed the black glove and placed the agent's palm flat down onto the biometric faceplate. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Access has been granted to the doors. The doors rumbled again and began to retract up into the ceiling, into the roof. I scanned around with my eyes through the open door. Stop it! I could see Phil. Before I could say anything, an echoing voice harshly said, Enter, Mr. Carlton. And how could I forget you, young lady Maria? Enter now, before I lose my patience. Strange, I could swear I had heard that voice before, somewhere, but I just couldn't put a face to the voice. Maria and I slowly advanced forwards, keeping a very careful eye on our surroundings, and the hallways in front was military-looking, solid plating sealed. The walls were highly complicated with retina scanner and biometric reading devices aligned down the corridor. The lights above each door remained red, apart from the far one to the left. In the middle had a green light flickering. The voice had stopped. We both advanced on the green illuminated door. The main door we needed the hand scanner used on to open it shut abruptly. Oh shit, this can't be good. The lights on the doors in the corridor changed from red to green simultaneously. The doors retracted one by one, sliding into the roof. I couldn't believe and still can't believe what I saw with my own eyes next. I still have trouble believing what was really happening. Okay, so there's my the end chapter to the book itself, and that's where I was going to put a to be continued and start another chapter of the books itself as a full trilogy, or maybe going into 4 or 5 of them. It depended, but that was the idea of it. So it gives it a twist to the end, and then the next book was to start off where it was getting to the point where the president was going to come forwards and be an actual shapeshifter inside of this reality and explain a lot more of the secrets that were going on. And then obviously young Mr. Carlton and Maria were miraculously going to escape again somehow, like all of these spy movies, etc., stuff like that go. And they were going to find out more secrets, etc. And the problem is I stopped it there because everything else happened after there. So I hope you enjoyed it, and in the future I will put it out as a book. I'll put it out as an ebook. Hopefully it goes for like $7, something like that. It's only a story, you know what I mean? There's not much to it. So, but I hope you enjoyed it, and does something different for you to get hold of during this time of need and to the time of confusion that's going on. But in reality, right now, we all just have to remember what I said at the beginning of this, and to remember to balance your spiritual body. Remember to have all of your chakras aligned, and remember to keep in perpetual motion to the universe, running through your kundalini to the source. You know what I mean? So once you open up and you connect to the higher self of what you really are, because we are all higher souls inside of us, just people cannot remember and connect back to spirit. And you have the natural ability to prevent anything like this, natural from your spirit. Your spirit does not allow anything that it manifests inside of a vibrational construct to actually harm you unless you give it permission to allow that to happen inside of your experience of the physical reality construct and this vibrational game. So, peace, love, and respect all, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the book. I know it went for a while. It should have really been 2 chapters, but it was quite a long read itself. So I hope you're all well out there, and remember to always have faith in spirit, and your spirit will always guide you through anything, because spirit is the creator. We from the outside as a collective spirit manifest physical reality, and there's nothing